Welcome back to another edition of the Habs Brunch, your Sunday rendezvous. This is your co-host, Coach Francis Zerkley for the beautiful country of Thailand. And we have to go all the way to Ontario, Ontario. Yes, Ontario. It's Ottawa. Welcome back, Mr. Marco Larrabee is in the house this morning.
Yes, sir. Love it when you roll those R's, coach. Very
I know,
impressive.
right?
Very impressive. Yeah.
First of all, did you get your brunch already, or is it your wife set up this after the show?
Yeah. No, like today, a little cereal just to kind of get carved up, before the show, get some sugar in the veins, and just to get all revved up here and ready to go. Maybe we'll have a little something after there too. So happy
Hockey
Sunday,
is
coach.
back.
It's Sunday. Yeah, hockey's back. First week in the books, man. Great
Exactly.
week.
We can wait
Very
about
exciting.
this. Like, the Saturday hockey night in Canada, hockey night around the world, because I
Yeah.
live now in Thailand. And
Right.
14 game on the program. You cannot be more
Whew.
excited about this for the Battle of Alberta, Montreal play, and you follow the crazy game. We're going to definitely talk about the Montreal Canadiens. For first thing, we're going to talk about today is going to be a review weeks number 1. We have on the program, Mr. Marco. And then we have the Ab News. What around the Montreal Canadiens are in the week number 1, and finally at the end of the show, we're going to talk about a little bit of debate. We love to have Karine with us and debate
Yeah.
what she's thinking, and then you debate with her. I love to watch the duel between both of you,
Yeah.
and then
All
we're
in
going
good
to
fun.
check the
Yeah.
preview number 2, weeks number 2 for Montreal Canadiens for sure on that show. So anything you want to add before we move on to the warm-up?
No, sir. Let's do this thing, man. I'm excited. Week 1 in the books. Let's do it.
All right. Hey, she's back with us for another week, Miss Karine Hans for the hockeybars.com. Welcome back, Karine. Hopefully an amazing, great weekend so far and a great week to watching a lot of hockey. I know you are busy with the women hockey side. Maybe before we start talking about the Montreal Canadiens, open up a little bit more about what is your weekend look like from a women's side hockey.
Thank you for having me again, guys. Happy to be here. Had a busy day yesterday at the PWHPA showcase at the Centre 2102, which is the former Verdun Auditorium. The best players in the world, female players, are actually playing a tournament this weekend. So I got to see Marie-Philippe Poulin, Hilary Knight, Kendall Schofield, all of them. They're all there. And for once, it's quite entertaining to see, they've mixed and matched these teams now. They don't really represent where they live geographically. So on the same ice, you got to see like Hilary Knight play with Mika Zandiart, and that was just like, wow. There needs to be a league where women from different countries can play together, because it gave some very entertaining hockey. And I hope people would turn up in big numbers today to watch. Actually, there's a game at half 1 and one at 4 o'clock, and they're all playing again today. So hopefully there's more people than there were yesterday.
Can you tell
Yeah.
what time is the game today? It was just
1:30 is the first one, and 4 o'clock is the second one.
It's awesome.
We
First of all, I
encourage.
just want to tell you, you're amazing to follow the hockey, and you can follow. I think you report this at the hockey bars, right? When you write
Yeah,
about the game.
I've got like 2 username on Hockey Buzz, one that follows Canadians and the other one for women's hockey.
I invite everybody to go there. I still believe hockey is about girls and boys. It's a great way to maybe initiate your girls at a lower age or a young age to watch those kind of women play. I think they are really the one make a big fun for others. So I think it would be great for parents, family to bring their kids or that whatever is the boys. Boys can watching women too. Of course, maybe Marco, you can shoot. Marco, you should go at some point watching the women at some point.
Yeah,
The next
I
couple
have
months.
I have a couple nieces that are in hockey, so it's great hockey, and it is a great experience for them. So yeah, it's 100% support women's hockey. I encourage people to go check out those games today after they watch Habs Brunch, of course. But they should definitely go check out those games later today.
That's awesome. Let's talking about the Montreal Canadiens. They have a big week. Finally, the hockey is back. And finally, they start the season. And we already have a lot of comment, the continents to talk about for sure. I can't wait to hear from you guys talking about the Montreal Canadiens. For first thing, we're going to talk today. It's about app news this week around the Montreal Canadiens. And it's happening at the middle of the week. Maybe Kevin can let us know more. But William Trudeau, the 20 years old, got a ELC. And Karine, tell us a bit more about William Trudeau.
Yeah, he's been impressive at camp all the way through prospect challenge, rookie camp, and the main camp as well. He showed that he belongs, and he fully deserves this entry level contract. It's on par with Beck, who got signed as well through the Beck, Slavkovski, Mazar. They've all got their ELC and all fully deserved. So yeah, I think Kent Hughes is doing some really good work when it comes to prospects so far. When it comes to the main team and getting rid of Deadwood is another story, but it's harder to burn Deadwood than it is to sign new blood. So yeah.
That's great. Marco, maybe tell us a bit more what you think about William Trudeau's on his performance during the training camp, one at the rookie and one at the main camp.
Yeah, like I think Kevin nailed it. Really, really impressive camp for William. I was surprised just how how disciplined he was, like in terms of his puck moving and everything else. Like definitely wasn't overly conservative. Jumped into the play in all the right times. Really good reads most of the time, and surprisingly mobile. Was a lot more mobile than I remember him being last year. So just a really nice development year over year for Trudeau, and just really happy for him. And hopefully he gets some good minutes in Laval with all those defensemen that are currently up in Montreal. It's a great opportunity for him to get some good minutes. So yeah, good for Mr. Trudeau.
Great to
One
hear
Trudeau
that. I
that
think
everybody
another
likes.
thing. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying it's one Trudeau that everybody in Montreal likes, so it's good.
What I would like to just mention, like we don't be like we don't want to this happen, but unfortunately the bad luck happening to Jenny, Fred brother, out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Maybe it pushed this situation a little bit, helping William Trudeau to get his contract and keep him with the Laval Rocket. So that's possibly what I believe happening. And by the way, Norlander have a good weekend for what I heard, but we can talk about him a little bit later about Matthew Norlander. The next news, it's happening. Karine mentioned she talked about him a couple of days ago. I think last week, of course. Philippe Mazar was play with the Laval Rocket at the first night, Friday night, playing the 4 line. I don't know exactly his TOI, honestly, Karine, but tell us a little bit the big news. He was loaned to go to now OHL with the Kitchener Rangers.
Yeah, the young man had actually said that he would rather play in the AHL. So when he was cut from camp, he was sent to Laval, took part in their camp, and then he was on the opening night roster, but on the 4th line on the right wing. Wasn't used all that much. And after the game, the Canadiens announced that he was loaned to the OHL Kitchener Rangers. And that proves the point I've been making for I think about 4 weeks now, that I'd rather see this guy go to junior rather than to the AHL. I mean, physically, he's not there yet. He's not big enough. He's not able to handle the physicality of the AHL game yet. So I was concerned that not only would he not be working on his offensive game because he'd be buried down the depth chart, but he could get smoked by a career AHLer just looking to, beat up the new guy. So I'm very, very happy that he's being sent to the Kitchener Rangers. I don't think they're a contending team this year, so wouldn't be surprised if he was traded near the deadline or the playoffs so that he can get some more experience and hopefully get on a contender to go to the Memorial Cup, and that would be great for him.
Yeah, absolutely right about this. Marco, you want to add something about Philippe Meza?
Yeah, I think Kagan covered most of it. I guess one other thing that's interesting about that whole scenario, because it was pretty clear they were telegraphing for a while that they thought he should be playing in OHL. So what's interesting is how come it took so long? Clearly, there's probably a dynamic there between management and the agents around him wanting to stay in the AHL. Who wouldn't want to stay in the AHL? You're actually getting paid versus the OHL. Cold sandwiches on the bus in the OHL, all that. But I wonder how much of an influence Hughes's experience as an agent. This is one of those situations maybe where it's handy, right? Like Hughes has that experience dealing with agents, understands it from the player's perspective. So who knows? Like maybe this would have been a little dealt with differently with a different management team, and maybe it wouldn't have turned out so well if you don't have somebody like Hughes that has that experience as an agent, right? So just yet another kind of good use of Hughes's experience, and so I think it's the right move for Machar, and hopefully, like Kegan said, like he'll get some meaningful minutes and meaningful situations to play in, and really gain that confidence and build some muscle.
Great point, Marco, about Hughes. I think the fact he was agent, maybe it take a little bit longer to wait a
Yeah,
little bit to negotiate better and then see what happening. So I think the plan was already set up that way, but I think it's a great point to bring this. One thing I would say to you, because she did, Karen talk about the Memorial Cup, I would say he's going to be at the World Junior Championship for
yeah,
Slovakia
yeah,
during the
yeah.
holiday. So that's another good thing for him for sure. The next thing we'll talk
Mm-hmm.
about, honestly, was the beginning of the season this year, but Wednesday was supposed to be Monday because when we did the show Sunday morning last week, Karen said, "Can you have a press conference?" And we thought he's going to get that press conference for that, but he moved up to Wednesday. We know what we don't go all the way what they did Monday for the roster, everything like that. But a little bit overview, resume of what happening with Ken Hughes Wednesday, Karine and Marco, for what he said during the over like 30 to 45 minutes.
Well, I think the biggest point was probably about the health of this club. I mean, when the Canadians were in Gender prior to the start of the season, Mike Madison was pulled from the lineup. We were told, oh, it's just a roster decision. He's not injured. He's day to day. He's fine. Blah blah blah. It evolved, and then on Wednesday, Kent Hughes tells us that Mike Madison will have to undergo an MRI and will know more in the next 48 hours. So yeah, that's not a day-to-day case to me when someone needs an MRI, but you know. He actually spoke about Paul Byron as well at one point this summer. Hughes had told us that Byron would be able to play. And then out of nowhere, at the press conference, he tells us, well, you know, it was going well this summer, but then when he hit the highs, kind of got a setback, and there's no way to know when he'll be able to play again. Short term, mid term, it doesn't look likely that he'll be playing. So this is sounding more and more like Carey Price, to be honest. I think that Paul Byron, no matter how much of a warrior he is, might just be skating off into the sunset as well, which is a shame because everyone should get to quit on their own terms, but doesn't look good. As for Yoel Armia, is out 1 to 2 weeks, but you know, with so many forwards right now on deck, it's not. Well, how could I word it? It's not a massive problem. I think if anything, there's too many forwards there, and Joel. And as for Joel and Munson, you know, still progressing, still day to day. We don't know. It's, but you know, probably that the young guys on defense are quite happy because they're getting more time, more ice time, and more time to practice and learn. So you know, you got to
For
see it
sure.
from a positive point of view because that's what this year is about, right? Development. So they'll be happy.
Yeah.
Marco?
Yeah, like a really, really great press conference is really interesting to watch. So Kevin covered a lot of it. The one question that piqued my interest, you guys might remember over the last couple shows, I brought up the idea that one of the most fascinating storylines of the season for me, even talking since all summer we've been talking about this, coach, is the contradicting priorities of showcasing veterans that you want to flip, like Hoffman and Drouin and all those players, versus developing the young players that you have. Those things are conflicting priorities, right? Because there's only so many spots in the lineup. So one of the reporters, I forget who it was, asked him the question. I almost jumped out of my seat. I'm like, oh, thank God finally somebody is asking that question, because it's the most difficult thing to overcome this year, because you have two very important things that don't match up with each other. You just can't do it. So it was very interesting to see Hughes's response, was that it's something that they're very, very conscious of, and something that they're going to have to manage on a daily basis, because they're concerned about losing the room, because let's say you start playing players that, because as we all know, players know who deserves to play and who doesn't deserve to play. So if the coach and management start to plug players in that everybody in the world can see isn't really deserving to play, you're going to lose the room. And Hugh said that directly in the press conference. So to me, this is again an ongoing story. We'll talk about it a bit more when we're talking about personnel movements here, but it's a very delicate ecosystem. Coach, you know, you're a coach, right? You've been in these dressing rooms before. It's a very delicate ecosystem to make sure that you're rewarding the right behavior. Um, so it's a very complex situation that they have. They put themselves in a situation. If they play their cards right, it can work out great because they'll be able to flip these assets. But again, if the most important priority is developing young players, again, those are very conflicting things, and there's only so much ice time to go around. So to me, that was the most interesting thing of the press conference, kind of confirming one of the burning questions that I've had for weeks now about how they're going to deal with that.
Yeah, resume I would just said to you because you nail it all the way. Uh, Evaluate every single day. So they reevaluate everything every single day, and they continue to see what is the best thing for each one of them. And grow and development are two words I can remember for that press conference for Can use. So
Mm-hmm.
would be great. And that's conclude, guys, a little bit of warm up. I think we are ready to rock and roll now to start the game. And let's talking about the first review week, week number one for the Montreal Canadiens. And honestly, it came with three games. Start Wednesday night again at Toronto Maple Leafs with a surprise late 4-3.
Yeah.
And
What a
then
great way to start.
Detroit 3-0, and then finally Washington 3-1. And then it was the opening night. Some of people complaining it was too long. Some said no, it was great,
Mm.
and something was happening. But before we talk about this, it was maybe someone where I knew he was there, but many people was not expect this. And let's see who was there at the beginning of the presentation of the players.
Et le numéro 31, number 31, Carey Price.
Yes, the Carey Price was there, and I don't know. Before we talk about the game, I want to see what you're feeling, your emotion about Carey Price there, and you both of you follow the Montreal Canadiens for it was maybe part of your life when every single the weeks you follow them. So maybe Karen, give us a little bit more about what you think about Carey Price and when you saw him appear in the tunnel or the smoke, and the cowboy was in town.
What a goalie, what a guy, what a player. It's a shame that his career is ending, but at the same time, it's fine for the organization where they're at. But I will admit, I was at the Bell Center on Wednesday night, and as soon as his name was called out and people started cheering, I had goosebumps. And I don't think I was the only one. I think even people at home must have had goosebumps hearing that reaction. Clearly, people are aware that this is pretty much it for Carey Price. An article was published in The Athletic last week, I think. Was it last week? That Arpon Basu spoke to Price, and Price was telling him how, he wanted to be able to live a pain-free life. That's what he wants to be able to do. He wants to be able to skate with his boy when he's retires. And, so it doesn't sound like he's going to be back anytime soon. And I think people read that, and, most people have accepted that it's time to bid farewell to Carey Price, and it was very nice to have a chance to do so. And what's touching as well is that Price is normally so, your typical cool guy, even keel, nothing shakes him. There, he looked shaken. He was touched by that, and you could tell it. I mean, he shook hands with kids and adults alike, and took his hat off and all that. It was just a great send off. Love it.
Marco?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very emotional. Very emotional for sure. And he looked comfortable in his skin. Like Hagen said, it's not Carey's thing. He doesn't love being the center of attention like that. He doesn't love it's not his comfort zone, right? Like kind of doing that stuff. So it was probably hard for him, but just bravo on just how it was managed overall. Again, I'm a marketing and PR person, so I'm fascinated with how these things are are managed, right? So to me, this is Chantal Machabé really well orchestrated. They have that interview with Arpin just like the week before this happens too, right? So everybody kind of understands his thinking now and kind of where he's at. So it just crescendos to this one moment, everything leading up to it, kind of just very well managed situation overall. And so for the people that were complaining that the players were too far from the ice for the introductions, well, there's a reason for that. They were that was the moment that they were preparing, right? So they wanted wanted to see Carey Price walk in just like that. So it made so that the players, when they're being introduced, had to walk a bit longer. But I think it was worth it, right? So very well managed, very well done, great career, very huge part of my life. Patrick Roy was kind of my youth, and Carey Price, is the guy throughout my adulthood, and lots of great memories. And I'm sure, hopefully he'll still be around the team, still show up once in a while. But great moment for us Habs fans to kind of come to grips with what the reality is.
Maybe we're not a great team, but the best team to do those kind of presentations before the game, everything like that. This is the
Yeah.
number one best team in any sport. They do all that quality presentation all the time, and whatever it take 20 minutes, the people understand. And it's only in Montreal. It would be another city, people would be complaining, but in Montreal they can wait, and it's just well done. And then I will just give you an idea of how they change. I think you bring the person Chantal Machabé, but just compare last year with Shea Weber.
Yeah. Yeah.
If he was not Chantal Machabé, possibly Carey Price would not be there. And I just
Yeah.
assume, but the way she talked, the way she explained, the way she can mention to the player the culture, who we are, the French people, everything, what is the tradition in the history in Montreal. I'm sure Carey Price understand that. But again, to get another push, she said, look, this is a really important moment about that. I think for me, she played another big role behind the scene. I know Karen knows more about Chantal Machabé, but for me, compared the year before without Shea Weber, you can see classy who they are. There's maybe the staff, new management, but I just want to add more what Marco said. I thought at some point it looked like the Undertaker, the Undertaker and the WWE show up in the smoke, everything like that. But it was great, and it
The only
was
thing
so
that was
great when
weird.
he left the building. I did not see the video. I see the video. I did not put it here, but when he left, the smoke behind the cowboy leaving, and all the way back, it's a movie and everything. So I don't know. It was great about
The only
this.
thing that was weird for me, the ceremony coaches, I don't know if I think I'm the only one that noticed this, but the torch that Suzuki was carrying, it seems like really small compared to the torches they used to have before. It's like they got the torch seems smaller, so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's I don't know, but just seemed weird. It seemed like a really small torch compared to I remember like Vincent D'Anfos carrying the torch.
Yeah.
If you go back and look at the video, it's like they got a little dollar store torch, like it's really small. It's my only.
Possible about this one there. But let's move on, guys, about the three game. Maybe overview the game. We're not going to go deep, but maybe Kevin tell us a bit more about what you think about the three game, and overall what you think about the performance of Montreal Canadiens.
Well, the first game I'd call pretty much a miracle, to be honest. I wasn't expecting a win. No one was expecting a win, I don't think. But, yet again, it's a big moment, lots of emotions. The guys come out, and we had three rookies in the lineup doing their first game in the NHL, and I think all that came together to gel in a perfect fashion. Cole Caulfield was top shape, Suzuki as well, and then, to get a game winner at 17 seconds before the buzzer was just amazing. I was in the building, but it's quite hard to get tickets to a season opener that aren't too expensive. So I was in the very last row. I mean, so high that when I jumped, I could actually touch the ceiling, right? And when they
Wow.
scored, they've got this goal song now that goes na 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 na, hey, and you're meant to do the hey.
Yeah.
I might have punched the ceiling there. So it was like,
Okay. You almost
ouch!
went.
But it was
You
worth it.
almost went down the
Yeah.
LITR there. Okay, that's good. We're glad
Yeah.
you didn't get hurt.
What a game. As for Detroit, well, that was kind of reality check. That kind of brought us back to, oh yeah, this is what this year is about: development, not winning games. So we got the candy the first game, and now need to face the fact if the first line is not producing, there's not a whole lot happening, to be honest. As for yesterday, oh, and I've got to mention Jake Allen in Detroit. I mean, good grief, what a guy! I mean, he was signed to be the reassuring veteran presence at the back, and boy, oh boy, is he doing that. 25 saves in a period, tying his own record that he set last year. So, yeah, great. As for yesterday, Montembeault did well for most of the game, but when the Canadians actually came undone, you could tell that it wasn't Jake Allen in the net, providing that stability, that reassurance. That's different. When Montembeault is in and when Allen is in, it's not the same team. But yeah, what else can I say about yesterday aside from nice wraparound from Suzuki, first NHL career point for Jakai, and yeah, I mean 2 defeats in 2 nights, but players are still growing, so it's all good.
Marco?
Yeah, like listen, great way to start the season. It's definitely a bit misleading that game. If you look at just the offensive zone time that Toronto had and just the Corsi for that game, they everybody was saying Toronto played a terrible game. Yes, they Montreal had some great transition plays. So Toronto maybe caught snoozing a little bit in the offensive zone, and Suzuki and Caulfield were able to break out a couple times. But otherwise, if you look at the underlying numbers for the game, like it was all about Murray letting in a pretty long shot from Caulfield. It was a nice shot, but still not really a goal that should go in. So exciting game for Habs fans and amazing result to start, but a bit misleading of a result. And then that was confirmed the next day in the first period. Definitely the worst period so far this season. Detroit came in just really hungry. You could tell, new coach, first game at home, all kind of like Habs fans, excited to see all the new players. Detroit made all these moves in the offseason, so the Habs felt that in full force. So I think Allen artificially kind of made that a game. Although again, if you look at the Corsi for that game, it's actually slightly better than Toronto, even though you were dominated in that first game pretty much with Toronto. But overall, if you look at the stats, other than the individual stories, like it's actually it's trending in the right way. Like the offensive zone time has been increasing. 41% game one, 45% in game two, 50% in last game. So, ironically, we probably played our best game against Washington, to be honest. We didn't really get to the middle of the ice very much for scoring chances. There weren't that many scoring chances. But in terms of overall game, even though it didn't look that close in terms of the score with the empty net goal, I think we played our best game against Washington. So yeah, I think I agree with Kevin. If Allen's in net for the game last night, I think it's a bit of a different tale. But so overall, trending in the right way with some things. Still questioning some of the lineup decisions that we're seeing. Kind of strange that Drouin came in for Pitlick. Um, One thing we'll talk about this when we're talking about forwards, but the one thing I found troubling, and again, I love Saint Louis, but he described Dadonov as energetic last night in his press conference. I just not seeing that at all. He seems to really like Dadonov. He seems to see something there. He's like, it's great that he's killing penalties. You guys laughed at me in the summer when I was saying, hey, we should try Drouin on killing penalties, give him a specific job, something specific to do. And I don't know why, but we're doing that with Dadonov instead of Drouin, which I don't understand. But anyways, still early. That's some positive things. And last thing I'll say is, um, last year a huge thing was the first line disappearing on the road. If you look at the numbers, road versus away production. So again, great first game for Suzuki. Had the nice play last night, but overall pretty quiet period for that first line. So something that they're going to need to really evolve on is being able to not you're never going to be as good on the road of winning those matchups, but they'll need to step up a bit on the road for sure.
Great point, all of you, about this. I will say to you, go against Montreal over 300 point goal last season. Now they only gave 9 goals, 7 of them. 2 of them was an empty net. So I think for me was one
Yeah.
that I can remember most. Obviously, the power play 0-10 or 0-11. Maybe I could be wrong with one number, but
No.
this was something I would pay attention. Again, Detroit, you had mentioned great point here. Marco, we just said they have only 2 opportunities to score with chance on the stat, and they took
Yeah.
until the 6:30 at the third period before they got their first attempt to get
Yeah.
a scoring opportunity over there. I have to give credit for Derek Lalonde, the head coach for the Detroit Red Wings, the way he
Oh yeah.
prepared them again. The Montreal Canadiens, the transition was they blocked them really with a style called at 1-1-3. I don't want to go
Yeah.
more deep about this one over there. Again, in
Yeah.
Washington, Karine, you did it very well about how they play overall. I would be disagree with you about that enough, Marco, because I really the details of the game he does very well. He recovered the puck a lot on the offensive zone. He open up more his player around. You'll be a little bit surprised. Watch how he bring the puck in the corner and he open up bring the puck at the low and high. When we talk about low and high, so it's a players if he's at goal line, bring the puck to the blue line, and or is a higher close to the blue line, he bring the puck down to the goal line. He's one of the best for me in the Montreal Canadiens. Hoffman or other players struggle to bring the puck onto the
Oh
blue
man.
line. Something
If you're
he
comparing him
takes
to
a good skill.
Then yeah, but I still think a lot of plays die on his stick though. Like he decent puck retrievals here and there, but a lot of plays die on his stick. A lot, too
You
many.
guys, you're going to like that enough. I see him 5 years. I see 3 years at Panthers, and you're going to enjoy what that enough can do. It's just you have that kind of chemistry, and if you can give the TOI and put him better role, you're going to see what that enough is a hockey player. I think he's really way better what the people think. And finally, I would say to you guys, they need to go in the middle. Could be that, yes, but if does not pay the price to not go in front of the net, it will never going to be the player they expect, obviously because we have too many passengers. When I said passengers, it's not like they don't work. It's just you need to go in front of the net at the blueprint. If you don't get there, it's not going to happen. That's the chance. I show my recap today. They have only 7 shots today against Washington from the house. He cannot do that. You have 13 from the blue line or over the top circle. So I just want to share with this. I don't want to talk too much about game because my coaching style will going to go all the way here. But I want to ask you this question, guys. For overall the 3 game, and I know it's very difficult. We don't do preparation of the show like 3 hours and then hey, by the way, we're going to talk about this. But maybe 1 or 2 or whatever you want to talk about. Who stand out the most for the Montreal Canadiens overall, or maybe one specific game? It's not matter. Karine, what do you think about your players of the week or something like this way?
Standouts, I would have to say Caden Goulet. I mean, every game we see, we understand that yes, he is ready for the NHL. Making him play this year is not rushing the guy at all. He can handle it, and I'll admit that when he left the game in Detroit for most of the first period and part of the second, I was worried, and I was worried yesterday as well when they said he's a game time decision, might play, might not. I'm like, if he's injured, don't rush him, please, please don't. So yeah,
Then he got into a
rookie-wise,
fight too.
yes, that as well. And I'm like, but what are you doing? But doesn't matter. Veteran-wise, I'd go with Monahan. Monahan's been a nice surprise to me, and I think right now he's wasted with his line mates because, as coach said, no one is going to the net, no one is getting in the dirty areas, and Kirby Doc is not the guy who's going to do that for you. I'm sorry, he might be 6'4", but he plays like he's 5'2". And that's really annoying. I find myself yelling at the screen sometimes. I'm like, will you put the pedal to the metal, please? He kind of looks like he's not giving full effort. That might just be his style, but to me, he looks nonchalant at times. And, I have high blood pressure, and right now, I blame Doc a lot for that. So, yeah, I think, Monahan needs line mates that are going to get in there, and that might just be, you know, Brendan Gallagher, who looks like he's found the fountain of youth again. Perhaps Gallagher and Monahan could become a thing, because he needs someone who's going to go to the net, and that's Gallagher for you. So yeah, and I would also put Jake Allen in there. He's played very well. This week would have been different without him, and it's nice to see that he can get that kind of goaltending for that kind of money as well. So yeah, those are my standouts for the week. Sorry, I put 3 in there, but you know.
Marco, before you start, I just want to mention, do you know how lucky we are to have Karine beside us? Like, I just listened to her, it's like, you know, I don't have to say anything after that. She said everything was supposed to be. So,
Well, I'm
Karine,
glad, because I'm
you
about to
nailed it
disagree
again.
with some of it. So,
Marco, you feel bad always talking behind her, because after that, she nailed everything.
well, no, like I agree with most of what she said. So yeah, great insights. Like I don't know, like I think you guys are being a little hard on Doc. Like I think I agree he's not going to the hard areas as much as, or at all, as much as he should. That being said, though, I think there's a lot of positive things to take away from his game. You know, I think I like his board play. Like, you know, he has a really nice kind of ability for takeaways. So I've seen him kind of make some really great takeaways at the line. You know, great zone entries as well too. Nice little slick kind of like give and go play. So I think there's some positive things about Doc. I like seeing Doc with Monahan. I think that's a really nice compliment. They're just trying to find that third piece. You know, not surprising that Karine would recommend her favorite player to go into that spot. It's probably a nice recommendation. I think Gallagher would be a nice fit there. I'm surprised they haven't tried Slavkovski there, because if we can talk about the opposite of a standout, to me, the thing that stood out to me the most is the lack of chemistry between Dvorak, Gallagher, and Slavkovski. That was, out of all the lines, I think we've seen something, little flashes with all the lines except for that one. I didn't really see anything with that line. So to go opposite, I'd say Doc was a good standout for me. Like I liked what I saw from him, but you know, hard to come 100% agree with Gooley. I'll say Harris actually, you know, when Gooley went down, that Detroit game, really kind of, you know, I was starting to get a bit worried about Harris. You can really tell the big difference now that he's playing on the left side. It just looks like so much more comfortable. Just his active stick, like, and even if his physicality surprised me a couple times. I forget who it was, but it was one of the big Detroit players that he was able to kind of stop in his tracks with a nice little hit on the boards, and just nice, really active sticks, especially on the PK. And honorable mention to David Savard, who's doing yeoman's work right now. You know, like playing a lot more minutes than he should. So that's probably another mention. And yeah, Allen, you know, again, like I'm afraid we're going to burn out his groin like just after 2 games here. So they're going to have to try to, you know, that's the one thing that concerns me about these first games, is just, you know, the amount of time in our defensive zone and allowing that many shots, right? Because you're going to have to try to be a bit more conscious of Jake Allen and try to ease his work a little bit, because it's going to be a long season.
Great point, all of you. I would say something for me. Maybe not the players. I would say more as a team. Generic, the power play was not great, but their face-off, where last year they struggled most.
Yeah.
Money, and that what he bring on the table. Today they are over 60. Only the game against Detroit, it was inferior to opponent team, but overall their face-off is pretty good for Monahan. A Jake Evans for the Montreal Canadiens. I think that was a great thing. What we said about Dak, Marco, we don't say negative. What we said, if you don't go in front of the net or on those areas, he will never have that kind of career in NHL, because he's not going in the middle. And he did the same thing with Chicago. He need to learn to go in the house. If not, he's going to be only a player go around, and you cannot be that kind of players in NHL. If you want to go to the next level to be a top 6 center, I think that's what he's missing from my eyes, and that's something you need to learn about this. I think Karine nailed it. Gallagher, I said this yesterday, this is the guy who should be with Monahan all day long, that we're helping that line to get there. Keep Dak. I think I would keep Kirby Dak, because as a center still, I would be worried about the face-off. So we keep him with Monahan. And Monahan, Most of it is like what it was about 73% today again. He make a big impact for the Montreal Canadiens. So I would not change that line over there. And then overall, I think Jake Allen for me was really the one make a big difference for me. And the rest, you nailed it. Most of the players you mentioned, they are just on the wrong chair. Kenan Coley, yes, he stand out, but he struggled a little bit because he's not on the right chair. To get him at 18 years old, play 23 minutes, 22 minutes, you're going to get burned. You get burned a couple of times. It's not his fault. It's just too overwhelming overall for him. He does an amazing, great job. It's just like David Savard. If you put David Savard 23 minutes per game, you're not a right. You don't have a great defenseman on your team about this. Remember last year, we don't have the player the right share. The Madison and Edmondson hurt the Montreal Canadiens. But again, it's not negative what I said. I just said positively where they are doing really well, but it's just too much for them at some point. But good works overall. I'm glad the goal again is good. The good thing we said to you guys, we stay in the game all year, all the 3 games. That's something I'm looking for this year. We compete. We have a chance to win.
Yeah.
And 6 minutes, 18 seconds today, 3 goals. It's the defensive zone coverage is really bad. Miscommunication is really another one. Sometimes they jump too. It's a man-to-man system they use a lot. And sometimes 2 players go on the one have the puck, or they are not aware, like Kyle Caulfield, 2 goals this week, is not looking around what's going on. Today, Josh Anderson was another one. Not mentioned they are bad. It's just they have to be aware, a little bit more aware. Jake Evan, the first game, again, Ottawa, the exhibition game against Shane Pinto. But however, I just want the defense to have to get better overall. So I just want to give you
I have
my
a question for you, Coach, about quick question to you though about man on man. Why is it that St. Louis use there's not many teams that use man on man anymore, right? Like are the Habs the only team that uses man on man? There's not a lot.
The St. Louis Blues does this for many years. Like the Blues, when they won the Stanley Cup, every time that they use sometimes you would find that one of the Pietrangelo was at the blue line sometime, and they tried this. Now you can play man to man, low and high, where the defenseman and the winger change at some point, but it just depends the system. Then you can switch to the 2-1-2. But hockey now is what the reason you go man to man more, or they want to use this because the swamp is you bring your 3 players in the corner. Whatever is the defenseman, you can see 2 defensemen in the corner, and you get the winger in front of the net as a defenseman, and that's why the young players is struggle. Their physicality is not there, and they lose their man. They're still looking around. The game is faster, better, and they have a period that just about this one over there. So that's the kind of stuff. The swamp is honestly, it's a 3 in the corner, 1 on the front of the net,
Isn't
and 1
Swarm
on the transition. It's good for the transition, the swamp about this. And when you bring 3 players in the corner, you try to go +1. That's a really box +1. But that's happening in the NHL. But a lot of team does the man-to-man still, Marco. So that's conclude, guys. The week we nailed it. We're almost at the end, guys, with Jesus. But let's move on now. The next thing we want to talk about, and go to go a little bit quicker. I want you guys to ranking the Habs rookies and a little bit tell us what is next for them. So I'm going to go one by one. And honestly, we have only 4. We can put more like Kubiak, Caulfield, is kids are younger. But I'm talking about the new player for the Montreal Canadiens this year. The first one I'm talking about is Jordan Harris. Some of you mentioned, I think it was Karine, said that his consistency is pretty good. So tell us, what do you think about his performance, Karine?
To be honest, during camp, I thought that Jakai was ahead of Harris, but since the games have started to count and all that, Harris has really stepped up. Perhaps it's because he's playing on the left now, as Marco pointed out. But he's doing much better, and I think, I had him on the short list to go back once the regulars return. But right now, I think he stays in the lineup over Jakai. So, yeah, I'd put him right behind Goulet, I think. Those would be my top 2.
Marco?
Yeah, I already spoke about Harris, so I know we're short on time. So you guys have heard what I thought. Active stick, really impressive. So yeah, we can move on.
I think one thing you said very well, you can see he feel better on the left defenseman. He create less mistake because he's on the backhand, so everything like that. So I think you're absolutely right there. The next one is Oof, he saved his day today for me, but let's see what happening. Albert Jekai put one more week, and I think Karine talked about him. I don't know if it was you, but not today, but you about maybe he should go Laval, but whatever. Tell us maybe about Albert.
Yeah, I think he's the next one to go down to that, although he'll probably stay over Schönemann, to be honest. But he's the one who's kind of letting the big guys, the big guns of the Leafs, elude him and slip in behind him. There's not been much damage yet when it happened, but that was because Jake Allen was there holding the fort. Still, though, I like his physical presence. I like his game. He's feeling, in you can see his confidence increase. He's joining the attack more. Yesterday, he got his first assist, his first NHL point on the Suzuki goal. I really like him. I like his game. I would even dare say I like his swagger. I mean, he's out there and he's a physical presence, imposing presence, and you can tell that he's not gonna let people walk all over him. And yesterday, when at the end of the game, I don't know if you saw that Suzuki had a bit of a thing with a player from Washington, and Gallagher actually jumped on the Washington guy. It was like, let Jakai do that. He'd be happy to, but So
He'd be
yeah,
happy to. That's awesome. Yeah, no, I think Jake's last game was probably his best game. You know, what I like is, but it's the kind of live by the sword, die by the sword. I love his aggressive, pinches, like where he cuts off guys at the blue line. When it works, it's awesome because it creates these great kind of opportunities for going the other way on transition. So it's just calibrating that a little bit, like just picking his spots a bit more. So yeah, everything I agree, Kevin, with what you said. Last thing is like we'd like him playing on the edge, but just too many penalties too, right? Like that's going to kill us. So needs to add a little bit of discipline to his game. You don't want to lose that snarl, but you don't want to take, like stick infractions and stuff like that. I'd rather you get 2 minutes for, almost killing someone along the boards versus like a dumb stick penalty, right? So really good. I think everybody loves Jack Eye, right? And I think there's so much upside, but yeah, I agree. I think like when Edmonston comes back here, then he'd probably be the first guy to go because I think they'd probably keep Schönemann as a seventh defenseman and just have him go play with Laval and get some minutes in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think today was like maybe his best game, but the first two games for me was woof. It was hard for him. I would say to you, bad penalty for me is because he's behind, so he will be got caught on something, right, and then he have to catch up, right. So always said sometime, oh, you get a hook because you don't move your feet, right. Same thing for him. Like he get caught and then he loses his man and then he have to hook or whatever it is, like the curve foot penalty, everything like that, or the penalty shot. So that's where he did a really bad one of the cross checking. I have no reason to do that. But it's a learning process. I think for me, he's just there because the situation of Montreal Canadiens. It's okay.
Yeah.
I like we difficult about Martin Saint Louis about the TOI, time management. He does very well with him. He play only 15, 14 minutes. I think that's a good for him to see that. He gets some reps, get a bit more less shy today. But for me, Laval, please, soon you can, and go get your minute over there. Go get your 25 minutes per game. Go get power play. Go get shut and done. Go who you are over there. Put some kind of physicality because Laval struggle right now. But for me, it's good. But I think the next ticket, please, they send him down. They're absolutely right about this. The next player I want to talk about this, and this is good. Let's go with him first. We all agree with him. I think we're going to go very quick about him, about this, Karine. One thing you want to add about this, or is already said before that?
Oh, I think it's all been said. Really, Goulet is the best rookie so far, and I just skipped to Slavkovski that we need to talk about rather than talk about Goulet again.
Marco?
Same. Yeah, let's skip over Goulet.
The only thing I would said again is another player is a wrong share. Should not play 23 minutes per game. He should play about 18, 17. And the fact he play again the best player, he make him overwhelming. Like you said, Karen, earlier, yes, you're right. But because he have no choice, he play again the Matthews. He play again the best Larkin versus usually he should be on the second pairing or the third pairing to protect him a little bit better. But that's what's happening right now. But whatsoever, he does a really good job to try the best he can. And his leadership, his maturity for me, that's the biggest thing. Listen, guy, Manta
Actually,
240, 6'4". It's not like it's not like 5'10". He did not pick who he was. He just go there, and he did not like the cross checking, and then he go there. So he showed me a lot of great things about
yeah.
goalie and
One thing actually that was interesting on the broadcast yesterday, I think it was Craig Simpson said, usually when you have a veteran and a rookie defenseman on the same pair, they're like, oh, how is this veteran defenseman going to help out the rookie? It's going to be great. Well, sometimes it should be the other way around, right? Like, how's this rookie going to help and make the more experienced defender look? And I think to be honest, like, yeah, Savard is good, like, and he's definitely a good mentor, but I think he's probably benefiting even more than Goulet is with that
great
partnership.
point, Marco, because I think that pushed him, Savard, to get better. Like he pushed him to get the next
Yeah,
notch, what we don't see
yeah,
last season. I never see David Savard like they did so far in
cutting in
three
the
games.
middle and doing all these
Yep.
dangles. Yeah, yeah.
Here we go, guys. I don't talk anymore. I want to hear for this one.
I think Slavkovski is improving. I'm actually happy he's on the third line, though. I don't want him on the top lines facing top opposition. You can see his game is improving. I think it's fair that he's getting a taste of the NHL, but I see him go down in Laval soon, probably before the ninth game, and I don't have a problem with that. He's tried it. He showed that what he can do, and the instincts are there. He's got the right reflexes, but he needs to get acclimated more to the North American game. And perhaps, the AHL is the best place to do that, because try as we may, the NHL is not really a development league, and it's tough for an 18-year-old to play in the NHL. I mean, just look at Shane Wright. He got 6 minutes of ice time in his Kraken debut on the fourth line, and he's been a healthy scratch for 2 games. So, I can hear people complaining already, oh, why did we get Slavkovski with the first pick? Well, most of these people wanted Wright, and look in Seattle, it's not going any better. So, chill, give the guy time. I'm happy with that pick, and I think we'll see great things from him in the coming years. And yes, I did buy my new Slavkovski jersey.
Nice. Well, I'll say the thing that all Habs fans are thinking but don't want to say out loud, which is we're all glad that Seattle blinked first and benched or sat out Right first. So now it's okay if we do it because Seattle went ahead and did it first with Right. So everybody's thinking it, nobody's saying it, but I think we all feel good. Not we all want Right to succeed, but it's just nice that Seattle made that move first. So now if we sit Slavkovsky, it's not the end of the world. So that's one thing. In terms of the play, again, I've on the record from the beginning saying that I would have liked to seen him play with Caulfield and Suzuki just because I find they're more compatible players. I'm less concerned about the whole idea of him being on the first line and hitting the best competition. To me, it's just let's find him players that are really going to put him in in a situation to succeed and perform well. And they've tried him a couple. It's been 3 games now with Dvorak. By the way, one guy we haven't talked about much is Dvorak. Kind of underwhelming start for him so far. I think in the first 3 games, just not seeing any chemistry there at all. Um, I definitely see the same thing that everybody else is seeing, like just really, either he's too slow, kind of reacting, or when he gets the puck, he just moves, like he just, does an impulsive thing and doesn't take his time and see what plays, like his reads are just not there. And I'm somebody that watched a lot of Slavkovsky, like going back to last year, I watched a lot of his games. And that was kind of his strength, is playing along the boards, winning those battles, being able to do these little give and go plays. So you're just not seeing that from him there. It's not that he can't do it; he has those abilities. It's just obviously, to me, I just think he needs something good to happen to him, and then you're going to see that confidence build. So in terms of we can't predict the future. Are they going to send him to Laval eventually? Maybe. I just wish that they would just. Again, Martin Saint Louis' bench management. I find he doesn't make changes in game at all when he doesn't see players not going. So again, like I would like to see him instead of Gallagher. I would like to see him there with Monahan and Doc to start, because I think Gallagher and Dvorak have been a proven duo at least in the preseason. So I'd keep that and just try Slavkovsky with those guys. So I'm seeing the same thing. kind of a concern that he's not exhibiting the things that we know he can do. But I think it's mostly just confidence. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to do them. He just needs something good to happen.
Yeah, another play that he need to go in front of the net. He did it today. He have a good chance. He did again. Toronto, I believe he hit the post, so you have another opportunity. He need to be in the middle of the house for sure about this. For me, Laval, please, soon you can send him a Laval. That's the most important thing for me. Montreal have already 14. Right now, Pesela does not play. Drouin does not play. Hoffman does not play. Tabernac does not play. Slavkovski, first line, it will be burned. Already Caulfield and Zuski struggle on defensive zone coverage. Now you had young players, no be worse about this one over there. And why the reason I said you send him quick at Laval, because you cannot develop a guy who only 9 minutes and 10 minutes per game, 11 minutes. Secondly, like Karine said, I would say to you guys, is the fact like Montreal is in the game. So when you're in the game, you don't put Slavkovski, right?
I disagree.
And that's the reason why they're still there. The thirdly, I would say to you, I'm only concerned, it would be not wrong to put him on the 20-second, 30-second on power play. That's the only thing I would say again, Martin Saint-Louis, about why not to get him on power play. They have their own reason. I don't want to go against them, but I would think I would put Slavkovski at some point. And
here's this one that what doesn't make sense,
what the point about this one over there. But for me, it's the first week. We have to be a little bit patient. But I think for him, go Laval Rocket, get there, try to get those kind of minutes and go learning, go get your 17, 18, 19, 20 minutes. You're going to play about 7, 8 more minutes per game, and then go get your confidence over there, and then come back later if it's necessary. If not, stay there. That's nothing rush here. Just develop to get better. For me, that's the most
important thing. Go play with Belzile and Laval. Like, I don't get it. Like what doesn't make sense to me, coach, is so Saint-Louis, like he's protecting him in games. Like, okay, so it's a tie game with like 9 minutes left, and they don't play him. But all year, that's all we've been talking about. It's all about progressing and all about kind of and developing the players. How are they going to progress if you're not putting them in those positions? If results don't matter that much, and we all know results don't matter that much, you can't have it both ways. Like
that's not true. There's a language hockey, Marco. What do you feel Gallagher sit on the bench when he walk all game and then he puts Slavkovski for the next 7 minutes because you need to learn? What was the message right there? That's the reason.
You put Gallagher on if he's working.
Why you send not that enough Hoffman? Why they send Pitlick today out? Because the youngest one, 24 years old, the Messiah, he can sit over there. But he cannot sit a veteran. To protect a lot of the locker room behind that. And that's that's the biggest problem they're going to have, to be sure, is to manage the locker room over there. For me, like I said.
And I mean, development is one thing, Marco, but you can't actually throw a guy in the deep end before he knows how to swim. And that's what would happen to Slavkovski on the first line right now. He's not ready for it. And you're not helping him by just throwing him in there and there you go, single swim. No, that would be a mistake to me anyway. That's the way I see it. Not ready.
Well, I didn't recommend. That was my initial thought, but I think like my recommendation is that he go with Monahan and with Doc to build it up a little bit. But because I just don't see any chemistry with Dvorak and Gallagher, it's just not happening. There's just nothing there. So again, maybe he doesn't have to be there the whole game. Again, like you can, if there's an offensive zone face-off with Suzuki and Caulfield, then throw him up there for that offensive zone face-off just once in a while. If you're losing and you're looking for an offensive play and you see that Anderson is not going, you see Anderson's having one of those Anderson nights where he's just not producing anything. He's not really doing anything. That's what I mean by bench management and in-game coaching, right? Is you don't see that a lot from Saint-Louis. I think I've only seen him do one change for like one shift at a time. That's the only thing I miss of Michel Therrien, is that he was able to do in-game adjustments. He had a good sense of who was going, who was not going, and be able to kind of really read the pulse of his bench and make those kinds of changes in-game. So I haven't.
At the end of the day, it's only 3 games, so let's see what's happening for the next month.
I give up. Only three games in, I give up.
We have a couple of more minutes, so we'll move on with this one. We go next move at the defense, straightforward. And I know you want to talk a little bit more about this. We'll get about like 4 minutes. We still have about, honestly, 30 seconds. No, just kidding. But let's move on a little bit. Whatever, we go 5 more minutes over. It's not a big deal. Think a little bit quick about this situation with Hugo.
Well, I think before the season, Kent Hughes had already said he didn't want to start the year with 3 rookie defensemen. In the end, didn't manage to get some reinforcement there, and the one he did get is injured and not playing. So right now we've got 4 rookie defensemen. So obviously they need to get some experience on the back end. But how do you do that? I mean, MARKO spoke about the conflicting priorities of development and showcasing the pieces he want to trade. Well, it's one thing, but the fact is, if you are showcasing those guys, they're not actually helping themselves. I mean, Jonathan Drouin played last night, and what did he do? No goal, no assist, no shots, no nothing. Nothing. Look at his stat line. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. 15 minutes of nothing. So, does that help sell him to a team? I don't think so. And like I said earlier, it's hard to trade Deadwood. I mean, I don't see anything there that would make a team think, yes, let me give you an experienced defenseman for Mike Hoffman. He's going to be of great service to my team. He's not going to be. And, Jake, GMs are not fools. They can see what we're saying. So, yes, they need help on the blue line, but can they get it right now? I don't think so. You don't attract flies with vinegar, and that's what we've got right now. Vinegar. There's no honey in the cupboard. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It is really a patat showed kind of situation, right? Man, like it's just really, really, like I said, that conflicting priority of being able to give the players that you want to give time to, like Hugh said, like not losing your dressing room because you're playing guys that shouldn't play, just because you're showcasing them. Players will pick up on that. So it's just really tough. Like I think they probably stay status quo right now unless something really kind of jumps on their lap that that's just there's an opportunity they can't kind of say no to. But otherwise, I think maybe we're one more defenseman away from them being a little bit in panic mode to go get somebody and maybe pay more than they would want, because then you're really be exposed. Like if they lost Savard on top of already losing Edmonston, and imagine, right? But it could happen. Like it's so yeah. It's I don't think they'll go out and get somebody else unless it's another depth move. It's possible, but I think they're just going to try to ride it out. You hope that Edmonston comes back, and if there's one other piece though that goes missing, then I think it then becomes unhealthy, right? Because again, it's a very fine line either way, right? We know it's not a results oriented season. However, you don't want the situation to be so toxic that any progression that you can do, it's just a rotten incubator for the young chicklets to hatch in, right? Like it's so not having 5 rookie or 4 rookie defensemen in your lineup is just not going to do it. So if they got one more injury, then maybe they would make a move. I think for now they stick with what they have. But I'm really concerned about. So one thing I disagree with you is, Coach. We've talked about it before. Losing an asset just to get rid of one of these forwards to clear up just a little bit of space, I think it's worth it, because look at Drouin. Like he's being professional so far, but the longer this goes, there's always going to be one of these veterans that are sitting out. At some point, it's going to get toxic. That's my concern. So I'd be willing to pay. Again, we talked to you like, what about, like, you're not going to trade Mishak? I'm like, well, no, it doesn't have to be Mishak, but if you could trade some lower level asset to get rid of one of these players, you can't. I just don't understand. You can't be 100% closed off to that option. Like you have to be open to that option, and it sounds like they're not. So that would be concerned if they wouldn't look at a solution like that to make a move like that.
If they knew Madison would be out, I think they would be more active at the waiver wire at the beginning of the week. I think they would get Valley McKee or some other thing. I think that's what they miss. That's what the biggest problem there. I think they would make a veteran over there. All summer, I said, Michael, go get Michael Stone for the playing.
Yeah.
All
He's
summer,
playing really
I
well
repeat
for
this
Calgary
all the
too.
time over there. And It's not for sleep, but it is what it is. That's the solution. I know we are out the time, so I don't want to go a bit deeper, and we'll maybe bring this next week because next week maybe talk about when you should send Jonathan Drouin out until when they can stay in Montreal. That's another subject. But next week, guys, we have the preview week number 2, and we have a couple of games we can talk about this. They have 3 games next week. Pittsburgh Monday night, Thursday, Arizona Coyotes, Dallas Star. Saturday night, they have an amazing, great start. The Dallas Star on the repeat of the board. Briefly, Pittsburgh too, by the way. 12 going into game. What is the record for the week for you guys?
Oof. I'm gonna say 1 win and 2 losses.
Of course, the one of the losses hopefully will be against Arizona, right?
Yep, so right.
We hope so. We hope, like for the tank, we all hope that it's against Arizona, so that's a bit of an edge there. There's that thing, Pittsburgh always, I don't know, we always play Pittsburgh hard, right? Like Suzuki kind of does well against Pittsburgh. It's at home. So I'll take a risk and say, yeah, I'll put my Habs fan on, and the best outcome would be 1-2. We win against Pittsburgh, but then we lose against Arizona and Dallas. I don't think it will be close. Like Coach said, they're playing pretty well right now.
Oh, I go with 3 point me. 1-1-1.
There you go.
But don't ask
Where's
me
the tie?
again who. But as I said,
Oh,
1-1-1.
okay.
That'd be
Okay.
the
All right.
best way about this one over there. My next question for you, for both of you, Jake Allen and the net for 3 games or not?
Oh no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Don't burn him. No.
None of them are back to back, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Monday, Thursday, Saturday.
He'll play all 3. Maybe they play him in
I'd give
Arizona,
him
but if they lose against Pittsburgh, maybe they'll play him in Arizona.
Karine, you go
What would you
2
do, Coach?
times. Select your game, Karine. Just curious.
Sorry?
Select when do you see Jake Allen in the net?
I want him against Pittsburgh and I want him against Dallas. Put Montembeau in Arizona.
Sound good to me. By the way, don't worry about Arizona, Marco. They will be so deep. I think they don't reach 50 points this year. So
Yeah.
they cannot compete with anybody. Like they are so bad, Marco. They go to get the most game shot again. I would not be surprised they get one night 70 shot again, them 80 shot. I would be like, how bad they are. That's how you bet. Did you see the schedule, guys? You have a
It's
chance,
insane,
go
yeah.
get the schedule. They play 14 game on the road after they go back
it's like
2 games at the
Islanders.
beginning of the November. That brutal. Like they go to the east, come back to Vegas, and then return to the east. It's brutal. They did everything to tank. That's
Yeah.
what's happening over there.
Surprise of the week is Flyers. Flyers came out looking really good.
Habs prospect, guys, I want to mention happening. Guédon, Roy, Davidson was the best 3 of the week. 6 point each. Guédon, 3 goals, 3 games. Roy, 2 games. And Davidson, both of you, they have 2 goals, 4 assists for them. And then we have to mention Owen Beck have 2 goals the last game and a goal-winning game for the still head about this. And then Karine and Marco can talk a little bit at Laval Rocket. You guys, you follow a little bit more at me because I'm too busy, but can ask a bit Karine. She's more over this.
I can't say I've watched them much this week. I mean, their opening night did clash with the Canadiens. I mean, I only saw that Mazar was on the 4th line and I was like, yeah. And that's what I thought about the Rocket this week. Hopefully, when our defensemen come back, they get some reinforcement on the back end, which would be great for the Rocket. But aside from that, not much to report this week on that side of things for me.
Marco?
Yeah, I didn't have a chance to watch the games either because it conflicted with the Montreal games. But nice. I think what I saw from the highlights, it was a nice character game. I think the first game they were losing, I think by 3 goals and
4-1,
came
yeah.
back. So yeah, 4-1. So that's nice. Like it's weird though when you look at the lineup. Like I imagine there would be like more prospects in there. There's but like it's like the first line. Okay, you got 2 legitimate prospects. You get RJP and you've got Yolonen on there. But then you have like these American League, kind of like journeymen, like that we saw in the camp and everything. So maybe next year will be more exciting to watch when there's even more prospects. I guess when some of the D from that are currently up with the team go down, it will be more interesting to watch. But I find it hard to watch when it's just kind of journeymen playing that take up most of the roster spots. So when we have more prospects, I'll be more interested to watch.
And in 3 weeks, you're going to see Slavkovski over there. So yeah, maybe follow about more the Rock.
I would, but I don't think that'll happen.
Smiling.
But maybe.
I'm not saying anything.
She knows she want this too about him, about Slavkovski. But look, we're going to complete the show tonight. Before we leave, we like to do this at the end of the show. What you looking for this week? Something specific, or we don't want to have 3 games, but maybe a little bit more. What you looking for the Montreal Canadiens, Karine, for the upcoming week?
I'm looking forward to see how the defensemen can handle the likes of Sid, Gino, and Co. for sure. And I want to see what happens with Slavkovski. I mean, obviously, we both think that he should be added to Laval soon. Marco's not liking that, but And that's about it for me for this week.
Marco?
I'm going to be looking at some of the underlying things, like we said, like other than the performances of the players, I'm always looking at for progress. Like that's the theme of the year, right? Progress. So we'll continue to see, is the power play going to start performing a little bit better? The surprise of the week is maybe the PK, right? Like that's I think we're all surprised that was the worst thing in the preseason. And that's the reason why they won the first game, really, was the PK. So we'll see if that continues to trend in the right way. Curious to see if with because one of the key things that we noticed is, especially against Detroit, when they're taking away those transition plays, when the teams are pressuring them really hard, are they going to have an answer for that? Is St. Louis going to make any adjustments to that in terms of how they exit the zone and stuff? So I'll be looking for tactical adjustments and look for progress on some of those advanced analytics, like especially Corsi and offensive time and zone and stuff like that. So
it's all about if you want to beat this kind of the system they did 1-1-3, you have to go dumping. So it's chasing, it's a hunting. So what you want to do at the blue line, you want the player between the red line and the blue line have an action. So what you try to do, long stretch pass, tip the puck, and you one girl on the flanker, go straight to the corner to put some pressure on the defensive zone over there. So that's the way you can change your transition about this one over there. So for me this week, guys, about Martin St. Louis. Decision about the time management for players. There's power play. Change the line. You guys, you've overview everything I'm looking for Martin St. Louis behind the bench, how he's going to react. And then for Karine, and I think you did not mention this, and I don't know the deadline, but one happening, and I don't know if this week, if it's happening this week, what would be the decision? Because once Joel Armia back on the lineup, that's gave an extra player. Right now, they have to make a move. So that's what I'm looking for if ever happened this week or the following week for about Joel Armia, because you have an extra player. Is that someone going to waiver? Is it Slavkovski go Laval? Or a trade, something like that could happen. And that's what happening. Before we leave, we want to ask Karine, what do you have happening this week for the Montreal Canadiens or any other event you talk about?
This Wednesday it's the annual Montreal Canadiens blood drive at the Bell Center, so you can actually go do a blood donation and meet some of the players. Generally, they actually give you a meal as well, and you can hang out there and get some autographs from the players. So great way to spend a day and do a good deed. And then on Sunday, there's a signing with Brandon Gallagher in Mascouche. If you're interested, look up Memo Herbel Authentic on Facebook. And I'm also looking forward to this weekend fantasy hockey, gentlemen, because this week, I don't know if you've checked the scoreboard, but I won my matchup, and I'm way ahead of you guys. Like, points-wise, 98.8, whilst Marco has got 68.5, and Coach is at,
you're calling out specific totals, huh? Wow, pick out. Okay, that's what it's going to be. You're pulling out specific totals. Yikes. Okay, but Karine, it's an extra week too, right? This next week is included for this matchup, so it's not over yet.
No, it's just today.
Oh, see, wrong. You were wrong there, Coach.
I thought it was going 2 weeks with Karine.
No, matchup 1, October 7 to 16.
There we go.
All right, Coach. That means it's me against you this week.
There we go. We'll
Good
be
luck.
interested about that for sure. Before we leave, we want to thank Karine because Karine won't be there next week. So we're going to miss you next week, Karine. Nobody can take your spot. You're the best of the best. So we want to wish you an amazing, great week for sure. Marco, like you do at the end of the show, you always said something about the channel. Let's go finish this show.
That's right. Thank you very much, guys, for watching another Habs Brunch. Don't forget to leave a comment. We didn't have time to do our Frenchie contest this week, but please do feel free to leave a comment below. We read and reply to every comment. So for those of you who joined us in the premiere, we appreciate it. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week for Habs Brunch.
Thank you so much, both of you. We wish you an amazing, great week, Habs fan. I can wait to see you next Sunday. Of course, Marco will be back with me. So have an amazing, great week, everybody.